The bush here is amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. Breathtaking, especially at the right time of the year when everything's a luminous green.
Deep in Victoria's high country, the Benambra buck runners are setting out for a day of capturing feral horses, also known as brumbies.
I started when I was 14-year-old, and ever since then I've never looked back. On a day like today, I'd like to catch 2 or 3 brumbies myself. Most of us sort of worked in the bush as cattlemen and all that sort of stuff. It's been part of our history, heritage. Comes from like the banjo, the Manfred Snow River sort of films. That's what we do.
So it's got a bit of a plan?
It'll unfold as we go along.
Yeah.
A plan by the state's Parks Authority, Parks Victoria, to cull some feral horses in the region has touched a nerve. The buck runners argue instead the animals should be removed from protected areas and rehomed.
We're extremely concerned that Parks are going to go up and shoot these horses as they're talking in the Eastern Alps and the Bogong High Plains. It's crazy. It's the only way to explain it.
The protected alpine regions that stretch across Victoria, New South Wales and the ACT are home to tens of thousands of feral horses after they were introduced more than a century ago. Today, the horses, along with feral deer and pigs, are responsible for significant environmental damage across the area.
I can see the park's point of view, like some places, too many horses. Yeah, they probably do a little bit of damage. But what we do, catching horses and thinning them out, it takes a lot of that problem away.
We want brumbies to be heritage protected, which means basically they're not classed as a pest, because I don't feel that they should have that title, and many people don't. Then we can work from that, because then parks don't have the choice to go out there and start blazing away with their guns, and massacring, they're a majestic creature, and anybody that wants to kill a brumby just hasn't spent enough time with them.
Feral animal management in the alpine region is complex, in part because it straddles 2 states and a territory. In New South Wales, feral horses are protected, while in the ACT, there's a zero-tolerance policy towards them. Now in Victoria, the government hopes to start culling some of the population.
The things that grow up here and the animals that live here don't live anywhere else on Earth. We're talking about 500 million years of evolution that's produced the things that are here.
Phil Ingemels from the Victorian National Parks Association has worked in nature conservation for the last 4 decades. He strongly supports Parks Victoria's feral horse cull.
Horses are a very big, heavy animal, and they've got very hard, sharp hooves. They're nothing like anything that the plants and animals here have evolved to live with. They really do have to be managed. They don't belong here and they do a lot of damage.
In the Bogong High Plains, it's estimated there are only about 100 feral horses. Here, Parks Victoria want to remove or cull the entire population, they say, before it becomes unmanageable.
The most harmful damage is to the waterways, the creeks and the streams, and particularly the wet areas. If we don't do anything about it, the problem just becomes more and more unmanageable. Basically, we're sitting on an area which is quite deep in peat, which is decayed plant material that stays wet forever. Above it is this sphagnum moss. It's an ancient plant which holds huge amounts of water. They form this blanket that drip feeds water into our streams all year round. So they're really quite essential for healthy rivers. But horses, deer, pigs, goats, they have very hard hooves which dig into this. They actually just trash it completely.
On the weekend, the Federal Environment Minister Susan Lee announced $8 million for the states to control feral animal numbers in alpine regions.
Look, there'll always be horses in the park, but the numbers are far too high and the damage to the landscape is too great, and we have to do something about that damage. I do understand that there is great passion for horses, but they are not the right animal in the right place right now. I've seen some rehoming and it works very well, but it won't address the scale that we're dealing with here.
For the Benambra buck runners, the issue is more than just about the horses themselves. It's part of a local culture they want to keep alive.
It's pretty easy for someone from the city to say, hey, let's go and shoot all these horses, because they've never had a connection with these horses like we have.
Catching the brumbies. I want to see my kids do it, and I want to see their kids do it. And that's why we've got to keep this tradition going.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.